In this video, I'm going to be showing you boys my new 6-9 build that I just made on NBA 2K25. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Listen, this build was so fun. Usually, when I make new builds, I don't normally show them anyway because it's the end of 2K. It doesn't really matter. But this build is really, really good. This build is a menace defensively, and you guys will see in the clips that I've got for you guys quite a lot of them. I've only played about 5 games in it, so all the gameplay you're seeing is literal from 5 games played. But this is what the build's currently looking like. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, I've missed out a lot of cap breakers. So if this was like a legend build, for example, it's absolutely going to be overpowered. But I will take you guys to the builder to kind of maybe dissect the build a little bit more. But this is what it is currently working with. We do have the 96 rebound. It can go to 99, just to guys if you guys are wondering. Look at that, you've got so much space to get to 99. But yeah, this is the current build. It's called a versatile defender. It's really, really fun. So what I'm going to do without wasting too much of your time, and also it's not really a Cooper flag build, but it is pretty good, okay, for a 6-9. So yeah, I'm going to show you guys some of the clips, a lot of the clips, and then go to the builder and kind of explain why I made it this way, and probably why it's going to be something similar for 26 if the builder is still the same. So here we are in the rec. Okay, now this build, again, it's one of those builds that can do a bit of everything. Now, the crazy thing is, even though I don't have high passing, as you guys saw from the start of the clip, you guys will be able to see, right, we're still getting about 7 to 8 assists a game. I don't know how some of these point guards that have super high passing, they can't even get 5 assists in a rec game because all they want to do is shoot threes. But anyways, now, the key thing for me when making a defensive build, okay, this now you guys can see I'm about to get to that point very quickly. As you guys can see the post control there. One of my issues for me, and one of the struggles I've had, look at that, such a menace on this still as well, that I've had with this game is trying to find a balance, right? I can't make a pure lockdown. That is not me, okay, or a pure defender, right? And go to the wreck. Because if you make a pure defender and go to the wreck, you can't get mad when you keep losing games, because one man defense most of the time, as much as I'm sorry to say this, will not win the game. So I need to have some level of offense, and I need to have a high post control, because I need to be able to worm, or so not worm, but I need to be able to spin 90% of players on the game. Okay, I need to have the confidence to be able to do that. And also, when I go into the build, I'm going to explain it a bit more why the post control is very cheap for the 6-9. If you guys can see, like, and the game you're watching, it's kind of the evolution of the build, because this was my first game, I believe, or my second game playing on it. And at this point, I didn't even have my rebound chaser on Hall of Fame just yet. I was only playing with bronze. But for some people, I've heard people in the past always complain about me helping out the center. But you guys can see right there, the center was not getting the rebound, bro. Center's not getting the board right there. So for me, also, being the small forward is very key. I could have made this build at power forward. You guys can see another snag right there. But I don't want to be the 4, because when you make a power forward, a lot of other power forwards also make rebounding builds, right? But I like when I play this game, I want to think of a mismatch. I want to have a huge mismatch, and I want to keep capitalizing on that. At the 3, which is why my 6'11 from the previous year was so good, is because a lot of people at the 3 do not make builds with super high rebounding, right? They don't make builds with super high rebounding. They don't make builds with super high post control. So with a build like this, it's to capitalize on both. So I'm going to be 6'9", so I'm basically like a mini center. I'm going to be 6'9". I'm going to have a high post control. I'm going to have high rebounding. But again, look at the center right there, right? He's not even moving to get the rebound. So I'm helping these randoms a lot when it comes to the board. And again, if you're coming to my channel, you do not come to my channel to watch me shoot the ball. I am not the best shooter in 2K. It's always been like that. I've just been a mediocre shooter. But when it comes to playing defense and playing in the post, that is my bread and butter. Now, this build does not have a mid-range. Now, you're probably thinking, fair, no mid-range. Look, you're a defender. At the end of the day, but in order to kind of make up for that, again, you guys have seen the builder, another still right there. To make up for that, what I've done is I put my close shot to an 87. With an 87, you'll be able to get gold post hook specialist. So that way, when you do back people down and they start backing up all the way to the paint, because that's what they're going to do. That's the only way to counter this build when it comes to the post game plays. You're going to have to back up all the way to the paint and wait for me there. So when people are doing that and maybe the paint is a bit crowded, or you just want to, you have a bit of space, then you can just go into the hook. Now, right here, I didn't have it. Therefore, I couldn't really go into the hook. But yeah, the whole point of, when you have the post hook is to basically be able to capitalize on that because you don't want me to be able to guard you. Okay, I need to be able to think of a counter to every single thing someone could do. But again, this build is a menace, bro. Like being a small forward, again, that position is so key because it's such a huge mismatch. Now I can play power forward with the build, and I have been put at a four. It's not really an issue either. But again, when you're at the four, sorry, when you're at the three, you get a lot of those animations because a lot of small forwards they do not make their builds with interior defense, right? They don't make, and if they do, it's not usually that high. Okay, when I play a power forward, I've seen a lot of 6'6" power forward with like a 88 interior defense or something like that. So they are, they've got some level of, defense against the post, but it's still not good. It's not high enough, but it's not bad. Um, I put 65 standing dunk on this build just because I want to be able to get some standing dunk animations. I can't not be able to just, dunk the ball. But again, look at those post games. Look at the post moves. The success rate that I've noticed with 95 post control versus a 90 or 87, it's way different. So if you're one of these people, as you guys can see, again, another block. We're an absolute menace with this build. So if you're one of these people that have 87 post control and you're wondering why your post move isn't working all the time, it's because it's not high enough. The game does not respect it enough for you to be able to get it. But again, when you get to 95, the game is easy. You're essentially playing a game on easy mode. The only thing you have to kind of worry about is trying to figure out when to do it and when not to do it. Because for some reason, a post game this year it's extremely easy to get stripped in a post. Extremely easy. And I don't like that. Okay. Especially for someone with a high post control, you guys can see was snagging over the centers, bro. They absolutely hate this build. But yeah, I don't like the fact that the ball can easily get as soon as you do any post move and someone drops down to kind of reach. You guys can see it again. Another still. Well, we're active. We are active with this build. Yeah, but as soon as you do any post move, people can just strip you straight away. I think it's so silly. When you have a high post control, there should be some kind of animation, and someone can't just get in the way and rip the ball away from you. But also, the build has really good perimeter defense, and you guys will see that I'll show in a couple of possessions so you can hold your own with a lot of guards. I wouldn't obviously with this version. There's another version I was gonna make that I didn't make. That version can probably keep up the guards the whole game quite easily. It's not bad defensively, do you know what I mean? Like being able to guard ball, but I wouldn't really be thinking of using it to do that. It's more of a kind of help, rim protection, getting steals, helping out in the lanes, and also when you do have the ball you want to be able to again take advantage of the mismatch again. But this is the center playing against me, kind of taking my time right there. I can be extremely annoying the way I do go into the post, but this is only possible if your post game is good enough. This guy just fouled me intentionally for some reason. So I'm going to do it again. You guys can see right here. Look, the double team comes through. So you guys can see on your top right screen, I've got 7 assists. So even though I have no passing, I'm still getting a ton of assists. Again, another snag, another rebound. We're still getting a ton of assists. This build is not maxed yet. I haven't maxed out my close shot. So, don't expect any post moves just yet. But again, having that standing dunk helps in that situation. So going back to my point earlier, you guys can also see we're kind of filling up the stat sheet 24 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. Like, we are getting a lot of stats. But going back to my point earlier, the reason why I'm able to do all these stuff, get all these double team, is because my post control is super high. And that is why this build is so fun. My issue and my problem that I've been having the whole year and the whole season, and I don't know why I've never considered the 6'9". Again, another board. I can't wait till I get a legend rebound chaser now. That is gonna be completely OP once I get legend rebound chaser with this build. But look, I can get stills. The 85 still couple of things I noticed, okay, when you have 85 still, there's a big difference between 85 and I used to usually run about 74 still to get silver interceptor. I don't know what the rating is to get silver, but the jump between silver and gold is absolutely crazy. You guys can see I am literally hawking the lane, right? I am seriously just everywhere with this build. And the fact that I can get blocks, I can get rebound, it makes the game fun. It makes the game fun in the sense of I don't need to worry about scoring. I'm not coming in like obviously scoring is secondary to on this build, and I can do it, but I'm more with Wreck. It's so chaotic. There's a lot of chaos going on. I like getting involved in that chaos. Now, this is an example of me guarding the guard. Okay, I switched myself onto the PG. I wanted to see what it's like. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a good defender, so I can pretty much read what he's doing, right? You guys can see I'm anticipating everything he's doing before he gets there. I'm still bumping him. We try to spin. I try to reach on the spin right there, but 2K is a bit weird. 2K won't give it to you. But again, I'm gonna guard the same player again, and now he tries to go for a block, right? This is why I like this build, because when you force players to go inside, bro, I'm 6'9", right? I've got a high block on a 6'9" build. You're not gonna be getting a lot of opportunity to dunk on this build either. So it is fun in that sense, and also a lot of centers, you guys can see I get a ton of assists from just getting bored and kicking out. So usually when I play with stretch bigs, the stretch bigs, they love my play style because they can just stay out, right? I don't usually like centers that stay out the paint the whole game, but the stretch bigs, they can stay out because they know I'm going to snag the board. And also, I'm going to have a mismatch. Again, look at this, helping out on defense, just being everywhere. I'm always going to have a mismatch because now you have to think about it in this sense, right? Wide open brick. Okay, you all didn't come here to watch me shoot, right? But look, we're active on defense. Okay, we didn't let that deter us. We did not let that deter us. Okay, all that my specialty on this game is playing defense, dunking the ball, and getting boards. Nothing else, right? So shooting, it's the least attributes I care about on 2K. Another snag. You all can see the center just chilling on the outside because I have a huge mismatch. So usually at this point, what you're gonna have to do is, what are you gonna switch your center onto me? Now, this is a 6'9" with dribbling, another assist right there. So using the center to guard his build doesn't really make any sense. And if that happens, I'm just gonna stay out too. So it's a really, really, big headache for a lot of teams. Even right here, when this guy thought he had it, you guys can see we can still cover ground with that. So it's such a mismatch that it creates a lot of problem. And again, when you play rec randoms, or rec with randoms, should I say, you don't really get a lot of switching going on either, right? So if you're playing team, obviously they might try to come up with a strategy to minimize your impact on the game. But when you're playing a rec random, nah, no, that's not gonna happen, bro. We're gonna go in the post right there. You see that little just taking my time, even I don't really have the standing dunk. Um, Now, if this build had been 6'10", first of all, I couldn't make this on a 6'10". Look at that, another snag. I couldn't make this on a 6'10" because I did try. That's the reason why I've kind of given up the whole year. But I kind of, with Cooper Fly getting drafted, I was like, let me just see what the 6'9" is saying. Okay, let me just see what can I cook up with it. Now, I came up with a couple of different builds, but this was the one I was most satisfied with. And this is very, very important too when it comes to 2K. Look how many people I guarded this possession. It's absolutely nuts. I guarded 3 different players, and I was still able to look at those bumps I'm getting on them. My goodness. But yeah, I came up with different versions. So it's very, very important when you make or when you play 2K, if it's your first time or you're new to the game, or you're kind of figuring out how to make the best builds. The best builds are the builds that play to your play style, right? If you ever look at my build is very unique, right? A lot of my builds are very unique. No one makes them because no one has a lot of people do not play like me on this game. So I can't be thinking like everyone else. Okay. No one's gonna think of making a build like this. Otherwise, I would have seen it the whole year in the rec. But again, look right here, we have that 89 driving dunk. So the dunk, it can go up to a 93. So you'll be able to get that gold posterizer, cutting back door. Because of your height, even though I don't have the big man contact dunks and I only have a 65 standing dunk, being 6'9", it helps kind of finishing through the lanes. So yeah, going back to my point, when you think about making builds, just make builds that you play like, okay? So I do not look at that, right? I couldn't even believe I got that with no standing dunk, big like standing dunk animations. But being like, my play style just evolves around playing defense, being in the lanes, getting rebounds. So all my builds needs to have those key attributes. I can't make any other builds, okay? So the other thing as well is when people talk about lockdown defender, this is not really a lockdown defender, right? This is more of a rim protect. I don't even know how to describe this build. I don't know how to describe it, but it's more like, if you think about Draymond Green, you don't think of Draymond Green as a lockdown defender, right? He's not out there guarding, you know, Trey Young and, locking him up. That's not his specialty, but he's a great defender. So people in this game sometimes kind of miss out on certain things with a nice little chase down right there. There are certain things people miss out on when they make builds. For me, this is as good defensively as it gets, right? So we went for this block, we didn't get it. Then all of a sudden we're out getting the steal. So this build keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on edge. It keeps you active, especially if you're an active defender like me. I like being everywhere on the court, helping. assisting, you get the, you can get steals, you can get blocks, you can get rebound. So it is extremely fun in that sense. So again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly go into the builder, just kind of break it down a little bit in terms of how I made it. And again, probably gonna be something similar that I'm gonna be making for 2K26. So yeah, let's head to the builder right now. So here we are in the builder. I did actually make the build with number 2, but for some reason, I don't know who the number 2 is on the Nets. I mean, the Nets are like a rebuilding team. So I thought I was gonna be the superstar player, but they didn't give it to me. And I completely forgot to check when I made the build. So we ended up opting for number 31 because I realized that's the jersey number he was wearing for the Olympics USA team. So I was like, look, that's the second best option I've got. But anyways, we're 6'9", we are 248 pounds. Okay, we're a big guy. And I've actually looked at Cooper's Flag's weight. He's actually pretty big. I think he's a similar weight to this, if I'm not mistaken. 7'5" wingspan. Again, you guys can see we do have that rebounding all the way up to a 99. That was very, very key. Even though our strength can go up to a 96, listen, you have to sacrifice some things. If you want to make a completely different version of the 6'9", then by all means, you do that. But again, I'm going to be showing you not just this build, I'm also going to be showing you guys 2 other versions of this build that I made. So if one of them interests you and you prefer that over my one, then by all means, hey, I'm not going to say too much. But going back to my point on the post control, look at this. Look at this. So from here, from 68 all the way to 95 or 90, sorry, 68 to 90 is only 1, right? You're literally going up by 1 rating. That is extremely cheap for a build that is this tall. So one of the key things I like doing when I go into the builder sometimes is I want to figure out what the cheapest attribute is for certain height, right? And is it something that I like? Like, for example, the 3-pointer might be cheap on certain builds, but I don't really care about the 3. Like, a lot of my builds, I'll make them with like a 76, 73 if I need to, because shooting is not, even when I play with builds with super high shooting, your boy just can't shoot. So I'm not going to be bothered and trying to stress myself. I'll just focus on what I do best, right? Now, the passing is extremely low, but again, I was basically playing most of the games with 25 passing. Yes, don't get me wrong, it is annoying not having high passing. It's extremely frustrating. But you have ball handling and you can move with this build. So you've got that lightning launch. So you do move quite well for a pretty big build, right? Now, again, 82, there's no point in you going to 85 perimeter defense. Reason being, you do need a 7-6 agility for you to be able to get that on-ball menace. So you can see right there, the rating requirements, 85 perimeter defense, 76 agility. So there's no point in you going that high because you're not going to get anything more anyway. So 82 is where you'll be able to get that challenger. So if you're going to be playing on the perimeter defense, you want to be able to challenge people and get some pretty good contest. You have 85 still. It goes up to 90. So like, there's no point because you need 91 to get gold glove anyway, so we kind of just leave it at that. Now the block rating, this was the one I was kind of tweaking and messing with. Ideally, I would have loved to have 88 on this build so I can get that gold high flying denier, but the other version I made, it does have it. Again, the rebounding go up to a 94. The strength is low because that wasn't my focus when I made the build. My main focus was I wanted to have the ability to be able to get 99 rebound. So that way I can just be an absolute menace. So now I can play perimeter defense. I can get steals. I can get blocks. I can play some decent interior defense, even if I need to switch to maybe some bigger players. And I can snag. And I'm at the 3. This is key. I'm at the 3, bro. I'm literally a small forward. Again, I missed on a standing dunk right here. So with this 65, you get some really, really good animation. And also, underrated stats about this build, you do have 80 speed, right? So you are quick. For a build that has all the potential to have 99 rebound with 80 speed, that is pretty OP. Now, the other thing I can't wait to increase, if I ever get to it, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time before 26 comes out, is to be able to get 85 vertical. Now, that would be really cheesy. So if you're some legend out there, you want to just make a new fun build, that's what I would recommend. So this is pretty much the build. It's called a versatile defender. So I did make 2 other versions. So those were the ones I was kind of thinking about. Maybe I should, get them or get them not. I'm not gonna lie, that number 2 does look nice. I should have made it. I should have just left the nets and remade this build. But I already put my VC on it. So yeah, your boy's not doing that. So the other 2 version I made is So the first, I'm going to show you guys this versatile stopper, as this one is called. So it's 6'9", it's a bit leaner. You guys can see it's 222 pounds. You don't, 7'5" wingspan, same thing. But the key difference, you guys can see every stat is pretty much the same. The key difference is you do have that 85 perimeter defense on this build, because I actually did go up to 76 agility. You're a little bit quicker, strength still the same. The rebounding goes up to a 92, so you can still snag. Okay, it's not like you're gonna be a bot. You know, you can still get boards, but now you get that silver on ball menace. So you should be able to lock, you know, stay in front of guards a lot easier. Being 6'9", you're really tall. So you can also upgrade it to gold, obviously with the season pass and everything else, with the badge tier system. But yeah, this is the other version. So if this one, you know, you like this one a little bit better, I'm not gonna say no to it. But for me, I want 99 rebound, and that was key for me. That was my key decision. And I'm gonna show you guys a last version of the 6'9" with this style. Obviously, there's other ways to make the 6'9". I mean, there's one 6'9" right there that I'm not gonna show because I was just messing about with it. But this was the one that maybe someone else might prefer making. So with this version, you do have that 88 block, right? So you do have a higher block system, but you have a slightly lower standing dunk. You have a 54. So if you're someone that don't really care too much about standing dunks and you're happy with the most basic ones, because you'll be able to get the basic ones with this one, then by all means, go for that one. The one key thing I missed out on the first one I was talking about, it does have an 87. So this one doesn't, but my initial one does have an 87 close shot with that gold post hook specialist. So that is pretty much it, boys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a bit longer than my usual one. Also, this one also have an 83 vert, so you'll be able to jump a lot better. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Y'all let me know how you guys, getting on, what builds you guys are playing on, what build you may make for 26. I think for me, it's definitely going to be center or power forward, small forward. So it's going to be center first probably, and then small forward as my secondary build. But it depends on the build. If the build is really nice for the small forward, then, your boy might just make that first. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.